What up, guys? So big news, this is my 100th vlog, and you know, I rather than go out and do something fun, this isn't fun, something that a lot of people have asked me for is my chocolate chip cookie recipe. So I thought it'd be cool to give you my recipe, enough of a recipe. I'm gonna keep one little secret, but you know, I'll let you guys experiment and find what that secret ingredient may be. Not only am I gonna share my chocolate chip recipe, but I thought it'd be cool to answer some NGL questions, because I have so many NGL questions that I just haven't answered. And you know, it'd be great to do just a Q&A video and make some cookies, and you know, let's try it out. When I have time, I make these for my clients. I've made these for like the end of like shows. These are the best cookies to just show someone like, hey, thank you so much for doing what you do, and I appreciate you. You know, like these are my cookies that I make personally, so I could just thank people. Okay, got the apron on because you don't want to get flour all over your clothes, right? I'm gonna put the recipe down below in the descriptions. I tend to make double just because a lot of people like my cookies, so I make more. This is more like a, I would say 25 to 30 batch of cookies. If you want more of like a dozen, just half the amount, and then that should totally be the correct amount for just a dozen or so cookies. Anyways, first things first, I have so many. Look, these are so many unanswered NGLs that I haven't done just because I'm busy and at work. And what's your favorite song? You know, I think favorite songs are songs that like remind you of a moment, remind you of a person. You know. There's a song called More Than Yesterday by the Spiral Staircase. So every time I hear that song, it reminds me of my dad, because you love that song, you know. That was the song that was always in his head, if not a Beatles song. I'm a big fan of like throwbacks that just take you back to those special moments, you know. But newer stuff too. I mean, as a DJ, I'm trying to be very diplomatic of what my answers are, because a lot of times people ask, I don't know why, people think DJs are just one-dimensional. I only DJ one type, but I'm an open format DJ, so that means that I read a crowd and I play to the crowd. Okay, so I don't mix everything in one bowl. I have my dry ingredients and my wet ingredients. My wet ingredients would be the mix of the sugars. So it's brown sugar, white sugar, salt, and then later on I'm gonna add the butter and the egg. And then my dry ingredients are gonna be basically the flour, baking soda. You can put the salt in there. I prefer to put the salt in the sugars just because I think it just blends better with the melted butter. And I guess this style of chocolate chip cookie would be considered a brown butter cookie, because I melt the butter rather than mixing in room temperature butter. But yeah, so you got your flour, dry ingredients, and then you also got your sugar and butter, like your wet ingredients basically. I Miss You. I don't know who that is, but hopefully it's not somebody who is stalking me. But whoever you are, I hope that you know you are loved, and I hope that somebody is there for you. And I don't know who you are, but I appreciate the gesture. I would say I miss you too, but I don't know who you are. How many kids do you want to have? How many kids do I want to have? I mean, ideally just 2, but you know, I think if I can, you know, parental more, I would. I don't know. I've always had a brother, and I felt like my parents have designated enough time for both of us to, you know, give us enough attention. I worry if I have more than 2 kids, like how do I, you know, parent? And I know my brother has 3 kids, and my cousin has 3 kids, and I have friends with 3 kids, and they're fine, you know. But I don't know. I'm very tactical in terms of like how much attention and time I give to people. So for me, I would be worried that I wouldn't be able to give enough time and attention to all 3 of my kids. And I see people with big families, and I don't know. I just wouldn't want a kid to feel left out. So 2 or 3 would be my ideal amount of kids. But you know, life happens. I'm not, you know, if I have 6 kids, I wouldn't be disappointed. I would probably get a vasectomy after, but I ideally 2 or 3. You know, I say 3 now because I have 3 sets of nieces and nephews for my cousins and my brother. It's manageable, but I'm like, it's crazy sometimes. I love those kids, you know, and like I couldn't imagine not loving all 3 of them. So I'd be okay with 3. Yeah. Was my worst day ever? My worst day ever. I've shared this before. I think my worst day would definitely be. There 2 days come to mind, and you know that's my father passed away, and when Peter passed away. I think probably Peter. I think not that one's more important than the other, but I think because when Peter passed, it was very shocking. It was very sudden. Whereas when my father passed, he was sick, and it was. In a way, I knew it was coming. With Peter, I didn't know. It was just a shock for all of us. And I'm gonna be honest, and I talk about a lot because, one, I believe it's important to talk about the people that you lost because you keep their memory alive. You know, so I have no problem talking about Peter. I worry that maybe I talk too much about Peter and my dad, but to me, it reminds me of them, and I get a chance to remember moments, and when you lose somebody, that's all you have, you know. So my advice, if you lost somebody that you loved and really care about, share stories about them, and don't be afraid to do that because you honor them by sharing their stories. So I really think Peter's death was probably the hardest, the worst day for me. Losing your best friend. Because we did everything together. Like we were attached to the hip. Like we lived together, we partied together. You know, if you knew me back then, you knew that Peter was always around. You know, we were always together. Like that was it was Katar and Peter. You know, so not having Peter around is very hard because you know I've had a lot of opportunities, a lot of successes, and I can't share that with my best friend, and. It's always hard, but it is a big reason why I pushed on. It's a big reason why I keep pushing because I want to live a life that he couldn't because he's gone, and I want him to be proud of me. I want my dad to be proud of me, you know. So it was a big turning point when I got out of that depression. So but that's another story. But yeah, my worst day. My worst day is the day I lost my best friend. I have lots of friends, you know, but I had one best friend, and it's hard to move on without him. But I'm very inspired to move on without him because everything I do is to make him proud. You know, that's some question. I want to put melted butter into the wet ingredients and mix it all up. When I used to make chocolate chip cookies, I actually would just use softened butter and kind of just mix it in. But now, because I feel like when you melt the butter, it just spreads it makes it better in the wet ingredients. And while the butter is melting, let's do another question. Who's your last IG search? Instagram search. Probably someone that, no, who was my last, let's see. I'm embarrassed, I hope it's not. If it's someone personal, I'm not gonna share it. I don't remember, it was last night. Oh, look at my couple. That's cute. Sorry, sidetracked. Last search. Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to share this because, there are still things in my personal life I want to keep, you know, close to the chest. So, yeah, I did a Instagram search for somebody, but I'm not going to share who it is. Because the bell rung. We're gonna mix the sugars and the butter till it makes like a sugar butter paste, if that makes sense. Worst date I've ever been on. Worst date I've ever been on. Worst date I ever been on. Worst date I've ever been on. Let me think. To quote Taylor Swift, I feel like it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. I've had bad dates. Well, I kind of feel like they're partly my fault for whichever reason, or because I didn't read the room or whatever. There was a girl that I had a study date with, and we were supposed to hang out. And this was like I just got a new job and I was kind of transitioning from another job, so my finances weren't, they were like pretty like close to the check, like they're really close to the nose in terms of like my paydays and stuff. But we go on a date, we have dinner, no, we hang out, we study, we had dinner, and then when we had dinner, my card gets declined. And I'm like, oh my God, and you know that feeling when like, your soul leaves your body, like, oh shit, I have no money. And I couldn't, it wasn't an expensive date or anything, but like, I had to pay, my payday was like in 2 more days. I apologized, and I'm like, so let's try to explain, and like, oh no, it's okay. And you know, you drove, it's totally cool, and then she ended up paying for the dinner, which I hate. Like, I mean, I'm all for like equal opportunities, and I'm more than happy for a woman to pay for my stuff, but on a date, at least on a first date, I'm gonna take care of it, or like, I will pay as much as I can, or as much as she lets me. Like I try to read, you know, because some girls don't want the guy to pay for everything, and some girls just don't even bat an eye. Personally, I like the check dance, you know, like I'm gonna pay no matter what, but if she does like the reach or tries to grab it, like that's kind of cool. Like that means she's considerate. That means that like she's not just assuming that I'll pay, even though I will pay, although I couldn't pay this day. Rather than take her back to her apartment or take her back to my apartment, she asked if I could drive her to a guy's place, and I was like, yeah, sure. So I ended up driving her to some other guy's house, and I remember dropping her off and driving away feeling so pathetic. Like it sucks. It sucks. So yeah, I would say that's my worst date. When I drove my date to another guy's house. Wow, that sounds bad. That sounds more bad like saying it out loud. I have plenty of income to pay for dates now. I don't have dates to pay for, but I got cookies. So I mix the wet ingredients into an almost like sugar butter paste, and what's cool is that it was hot, now it's cooling down. It's not like the butter isn't super hot, and you want to basically mix the butter mixture. So I heard it's good to, when you crack an egg, that you crack on a flat surface, because when you crack on like an edge, there's a good chance that shell gets into the egg itself. So that's what I learned. But one egg, no shell, very nice. I guess I should answer the question while I mix this, huh? All right, let's have another question. Let's see, how tall are you? So I'm about 5'6", but 5'7" with good posture. So like, but I tend to slouch. But 5'6", 5'7", depending on, you know, just my posture basically. I've dated girls who've been taller than me. I'm not against dating taller women. I feel like those insecurities are more mine or the girls. One of my first girlfriends is like 5'10". I'm not gonna show you what it is, but one is vanilla, one is something else. I'm not gonna use vanilla, but you can use vanilla, or you could think it's vanilla. Experiment, find what you think this may be, but I'm gonna put my secret ingredients. This extract definitely brings out a very vanilla-like flavor, but I think it really rounds out the butteriness of everything and the flavors of this cookie. Put my secret ingredient in the wet batter. Favorite food? My favorite food is definitely, I love pizza, I love sushi, specific Thai foods in Thailand. Like I love Thai food, but like there's some things you can only have in Thailand that are just so good, but you know, they're food you have in Thailand. I love barbecue, you know, ribs, you know, brisket. Let's see, but I honestly, my favorite two are definitely pizza and sushi. Like I have to get pizza and sushi once a week. That's how much I love those two meals. And ice cream, I love ice cream. I'm a big ice cream man. Like ice cream is like my kryptonite. I will always have room for ice cream. I love ice cream. And now we're gonna add the dry ingredients. Do I have a middle name? Marcus is actually middle name. I've been using Katar Marcus as my stage name, just because when I had an agent and when I was starting out in entertainment, you know, I was always told that my last, and I totally agree and understand that, yeah, my real last name is Interachot, which is 11 letters, and my first Katar is pretty authentically unique and very exotic. My name is very exotic, Katar, you know, so my agent at the time, like, well, Katar is a very exotic name, and maybe you could use that in your middle name, and then, but yeah, my middle name is Marcus. My last name is Interachot. I've been going by Katar Marcus as my stage name for the last, man, maybe like 20 years now. Honestly, it's laziness, because Interachot I had to fill out so many like letters in my my tests and my licenses, you know. So and Katar Marcus, I felt just roll off the tongue a little better. Do you have any cute friends for me? Laugh my ass off. Yeah. What kind of are you? What are you? What is your gender? What do you want? You want to find a cute girl? You want to find a good a handsome young man? You know, I have lots of cute friends who are single that I would totally wingman for. If you're interested, my friends, DM me. I will. I'll make some magic happen, or I'll see what I can do. But don't be a crazy person. Favorite Christmas movie? All right, that's so. My Christmases, I kind of go in like emotion of like what I kind of do, like kind of Christmas movies, like movies that take place during Christmas, and then I do Christmas movies, like family Christmas movies, and then I do more kind of funner. I do more like not adult, but a little more like maybe not so much for kids Christmas movies towards the end. So not so much Christmas movies that are kind of Christmas movies like and this is a movie that probably a small fraction of people have seen or enjoy. I like this movie called Serendipity. I'm a big John Cusack fan, and like Serendipity was like this kind of cool movie about like fate and like how these two were like kind of, they kept missing each other, but like it had, you know, but destiny would find them in a fun way. It's a fun movie. I recommend Serendipity. Christmas movie, like family. I love Mickey's Christmas Carol. I think that is like what every time I imagine the Christmas Carol story, when I think of like Scrooge, I think of Scrooge McDuck. You know, like that. He's my Scrooge Prime. Like, he's the one that I set the bar for all the Scrooges I ever watch. Elf. I love Elf. What else? Newer. Claus on Netflix. That's a great animated movie. You should check that one out. Love National Lampoon's Christmas. That's one of the best Christmas movies of all time. Anyways, let's mix our dry ingredients into our wet ingredients. The important thing you do when you mix your dry, don't dump everything at once. You want to do a few scoops at a time and mix, and then mix again and again. So don't dump everything, because then it'll get too dry. So you want to gradually mix your dough. Favorite food to eat during the holiday season? Christmas, I love peppermint. So like peppermint hot chocolate. I love like a roast, like a prime rib. You know. What else do I like? I mean, I love Christmas dinner, and like Christmas dinner is just. Anytime you have a big dinner with all your family and friends, you know, I love that. Eating with family is always number one for me. Yeah, I love peppermint. Peppermint's like my favorite flavor for the holidays. Peppermint hot chocolate, peppermint bark, peppermint mochas. You know, I'm not really a pumpkin spice guy, but I am definitely a peppermint guy. Okay, so I'm gonna get the rest of my dry ingredients in here. And mix it all up. And that looks like cookie dough. See, that's the consistency you want right there. So I'm gonna add my ingredients now. I don't put nuts in my chocolate cookies, but if you want to put nuts, put nuts. But I'm gonna add the chocolate chips and the toffee. I like using the smaller mini chips, because then you get more chocolate in your bite. So I'll put that in. Toffee itself, I think, is another chic ingredient, because It does add more of that buttery flavor. But I'm gonna mix everything together. So there's chocolate and toffee in every bite. And you can add nuts. Like if you want to add nuts, a lot of people like having nuts. Like, go ahead, add some pecans, add some walnuts, whatever nuts you like to have in your cookies. Like, go ahead, you know. But this is how I enjoy making my chocolate chip cookies. I'm gonna put them into the fridge for about. You could do it for at least 30 minutes to an hour. I like to do it for 2 or overnight. But what I'm gonna do is I wanna put this in some cellophane, and then I'm actually gonna go to Disneyland, and then I'll bake it tonight. Cause I gotta go to Disneyland and make some friends, get some content. But let's wrap this up in some cellophane. So I'm put this in the fridge, and I put them in the fridge, and I'm gonna go to Disneyland, and I'll come back and I'll bake those cookies. But before okay, I'm back from Disneyland, and this has been the fridge, and it's nice and hard. Not hard, but just it's been the refrigerator, so it hasn't been frozen. It's the perfect temperature to actually start scooping and making some cookies. And I still got some questions left on NGL. I like to use a cookie scoop just so I get even cookies. You don't need a cookie scoop, but it's just for consistency. I like using a scoop, but make sure you get a strong one, because sometimes this little mechanism on the bottom here will like undo itself, and I have to fix it all the time. So I set the oven for about 350. Something I learned later on when I made these cookies at other places is that every oven is different. So for me, 350, 13 minutes is like perfect for my cookies. So this is the ideal shape that you want for the cookie. And if you put them in the fridge, I would say they're good for a week. If you freeze them, I would say like a month. But when you freeze them, and if you freeze them and you bake, it's definitely gonna give it a different. They're gonna be crunchier. They're gonna be harder. So if you want it soft and chewy, the fridge temperature is the best for that. So 13 minutes in my oven. And 13 minutes. Personality or looks? Both. I mean, I don't think anyone's ever. I feel like when you like somebody, you like both, right? So I wouldn't pick one over the other. I think they both play a part, as it were, and attraction itself is dependent on the person. But if you were to tell me which wavers more, like personality or looks. Look, I live in California. I've worked in Orange County, lived in LA. I mean, I've lived in Orange County. I've worked in LA. Like I'm around beautiful women all the time. I love beautiful women. Don't get me wrong. But like it's personality. Personality's huge. You know, like there are plenty of beautiful women with awful attitudes or just a personality that's just not for me. You know, so chemistry is important to me. Like chemistry is probably the most important thing, like how we speak to each other, our back and forth. You know, she could joke. Like I love a girl who can make me laugh. It's chemistry. It just, to me, it's rhythm. It's how we can, you know, bounce back with each other if they're a good person. If you're all looks and no personality, you're really boring. Like that's the thing too. Like there's some people you meet who are like just drop dead gorgeous, and like, let's face it, they've been living on easy mode because people like open doors for them. Like things just come to them because they're beautiful. So like they've always just lacked in personality because they never had to have like a much personality. So like I kind of want a girl who's like in the middle, where like, you know, if someone was like unattractive growing up and then grew up pretty and became pretty later and like knows what it's like to be both, that's kind of more, that would be an ideal girl, I think, personally. That's my ideal girl. In a fantasy. There it is. These are my brown butter toffee chocolate chip cookies. Look, the bottom's nice and crispy, but the inside nice and chewy. See that? And with the cookie, they're so good. I'll put it against anybody's. Thanks for watching 100 of my vlogs. Hope you enjoy these cookies. I'll tell you, my clients love these. My friends love these. These are the best chocolate chip cookies you're ever gonna have. So be safe, be kind, and be you, and I'll see you in the next vlog. Peace.